Hello to everyone who is joining us. I'm Jose Imberg. We're just going to give a couple of more minutes for others to join in. Yeah, just for everyone, please feel free to be as active as you wish to be on the chat and to direct your questions through there. I'm going to be keeping an eye out for this, but we'll also have a moderator from our group. So yeah, we'll be very attentive to your comments, and just feel free to say hi and let us know where you're joining from. Hello, Oifrak, consortium member. Okay. So now we are also simultaneously streaming this through our LinkedIn pages and our Facebook page. So there might be other spectators that we might not be aware of. If this is your case, we are also going to be very aware of the comment section just below this video if you are on our social media, either on Facebook or LinkedIn. And yeah, feel free as well to leave your comments, and we'll definitely go ahead and try to answer them as fast as we can. Okay, I'm just going to give one more minute. I think right now we've got a hello and welcome. We're just waiting for about one more minute before I get started. I promise you that we are not going to stretch this out for you today. But let's just give one more minute to see who else is willing to come online. To those that are new, please, in the comment section, let us know where you're watching us from today. We'd love to know. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started with this. And the first thing I want to do is introduce myself and our organization. So I am Jose Imbert, and I am from Building Bridges. I am the ESC, or European Solidarity Corps coordinator, but I'm also an EU project manager for our organization. And this whole event has been thanks to our consortium, an EU-funded program, EU Learning, and our consortium, which is called Profund. Now, our area of speciality is European funding. How you can, hello Marco, pleasure to see you on here. Thank you. Our areas of specialty are EU funding. So the consortium is comprised by several other entities, and I'm going to tell you which those are right now. All of which have a specific program that we work in and that we are very knowledgeable in. And the whole point of this is to make these programs, these funding programs, accessible to you. So we could either be a first step on your way to obtaining an EU grant, or we could also just be that midpoint for checking in and making sure that you're up to speed on information. But beyond that, what we are looking to create is a network of organizations that can not just collaborate, but that can interconnect between each other. So we don't like to call it necessarily partner search, but it is a way of finding other organizations that might complement what your needs may be at that moment. I don't want to say that we want to specialize in any sort of consulting. It is what most of us as well do, and how we're approaching this information for you today. Now, as I said, today I'm going to be personally focusing on one of the programs at my organization, which is YesEuropa, or Building Bridges, focuses on, which is European Solidarity Corps. While we also work a lot within Erasmus, that's actually going to be another live talk for a little bit more down the road. Today we wanted to start with European Solidarity Corps. So just to close out on the consortium, I want to introduce you to a couple of the other organizations that make up this consortium, who are the founding fathers and mothers of our group. So I want to go ahead and start with Informo. Now, Informo is a civil society. It's a non-for-profit organization. They primarily focus on education, okay? And their main activities are addressed to impacting territorial, business, professional, and personal development. Now, there's also EPA, which is also a non-for-profit, and it focuses, and this is very interesting, on research and development, innovation, and internalization. Now, they use information and communication technologies to become, with the aim of becoming Europe's leading cooperation network. So it's like a sub-network within our network as well. So we also have IPN, or Instituto Pedro Núñez, which was created in 1991, and they work through the University of Coimbra. Now, they are a great of training, and they work through an accelerator. So their trainings are very specially designed, they're very focused, and they look to cover basically three complementary areas within the private sector and organizations. So they go through research, incubation, and specialized training. Now, they, through these, what they're looking to do is, innovate and transfer the knowledge in technology. Now, we also have OIFRAC, which is is actually the project manager for this, and they are Euro consultants, one of the leading companies really in the consulting field for European funding and project management in Germany. Now, they focus on education, so they offer defined sets of training ranging from 9 to 19 weeks duration and varying in intensity to focus within the EU funding project management. So it's a very diverse group of entities that work together. But this is where we all meet. And then, of course, how can I have this conversation without focusing on EFMC? So EFMC is directly a consulting training specialized in the field of EU grants. So it's super interesting with being with them, because they do bring to the network a set of a very, very specialized knowledge when it comes to certain programs, such as Horizon, which is something that I think every organization across Europe is something that we all know, and something that, eventually we would either aspire to be a part of or hope to collaborate with, not perhaps as a primary partner, but even as a secondary partner. So that's basically the consortium. I hope I'm not leaving anybody. Of course, I'm leaving somebody out, our friends at Prodos, and I am sorry for them. I hope they're online here as well. So Prodos is also a consulting, Italian-based consulting firm, and they provide technical assistance and customized trainings to public and private entities, again, within the field of EU project designs and management. So as you can see, while everybody has a similar offer, our areas of expertise lie within several different programs from each other. So we are able to serve you with information based on where you aim to go, or how you aim to position your organization. So bringing it back a little bit, and where I'm going to go today, we want to start with European Solidarity Corps. So for those of you that might not be familiar with European Solidarity Corps, it is basically an EU program that rests well within Erasmus, but it's actually kind of its own little bubble with its own little program guide and its own very specific set of rules. And it is a way for organizations to tap into younger demographics so they can become viable assets to your organizations, and they can go ahead and develop, a set of expertise. They will be with you for an X amount of time. Normally, that time will never exceed 12 months. And yeah, it's a great way of gaining resources. Now there's parallel benefits for both organization and for the volunteer when it comes to that. Let me just check to see if we have any comments. Okay, so yeah, there's Marina from OIFRAC. Perfect. Okay, so let's go back. Now I didn't want to bring a presentation to this because I think I want this to be a conversation between us and you who are just getting to know us. You might have seen the post on social media. You might be affiliated to one of the partners, but we want to sort of let you know, I want to let you know about first our consortium and the network that we are looking to build, and how that specializes in EU funding, and how we can help you to be part of a broader network in that sense. And then, as I said, well, today I'm going to be specializing in ESC, or European Solidarity, and just making you aware of that. So as I was saying about the benefits for the organization and the volunteer. Now for the volunteer, it's pretty straightforward. It's the opportunity to have an international experience, which is greatly going to impact their employability in the future. And why is this? Well, they're going to be with an organization for maximum 12 months. Now, 12 months is a huge amount of time. So I always tell them, you know what, that goes straight on your CV. Most of the volunteers will probably choose the theme or the topic of that volunteering based on either studies that they have already done or areas of interest that they wish to later down the line develop. So again, I think that goes straight to the employability of the volunteer. They get to do this through a very well-funded program because everything is basically paid for. Everything from transport from their home country to the hosting country. Housing is paid for. They get food money. They get pocket money, and of course, these are all things that are managed by the hosting organization. As you apply to a funding in the program, you will write a program and fill out an application form as you would for many of the funding schemes, outlining mainly what will be very similar to sort of a learning roadmap and what the volunteer is going to take away. This is a very volunteer-centric funding scheme. So benefits to the volunteer, these are kind of the highlights, and there are many others. Obviously, this goes straight to the core of, cementing European values, mobilities of people, goods, and ideas across the borders that we still have in Europe. Now, for the organization, we think that it's a great opportunity to sort of internationalize itself in a way of showcasing, certain areas of expertise. Something that I do tell a lot of our partner organizations or organizations that just come to us asking for advice on how they should write this European Solidarity Corps, project for the volunteer. And I always tell them straight up, it's, focus on what you know. To give you an example of that, we at Building Bridges and YesEuropa actually do sometimes host volunteers, and those volunteering placements will always be around a transfer of knowledge around communications, digital marketing, and digital skills. Why? Because that's what we know, that's what we do. As we work through the program, we are mainly a sending organization, which is an organization that would make contact with the volunteers. And then if you have a placement, we would enter in a partnership with you directly in order to work out all of the details, sign activity agreements, and everything that it takes to go ahead and make sure that that volunteer can then travel to you. Also, we work directly with the hosting organization when it comes to the selection process. So what we do directly through this as a sending organization is highlighting that that placement, and then making sure, like I said, that the volunteer does everything that they need to do and is informed of everything that they have to know. And that goes to the core of areas of expertise, I'm sorry, which is what I wanted to go to. It's so the other programs might be specialized in other things, but the programs that we do directly are around, as I said, digital marketing, communications, and all that jazz. So we focus on that, but I always ask other partners who might ask us to just make sure that they focus on their own areas of expertise, because that's what you're going to offer the volunteer at the end, and that's what you're going to showcase from your organization. What are you good in, and what are you teaching people through this? I think it's a great way of getting very viable resources, human resources, for your organization. And as well, it could turn into a little multiplier factor, if you will, within your own organization, because whatever they might see and learn with you is something that they might be tempted to go out and replicate in, when they return to their home country. Now, it is also through ESC. I'm not going to say that it's a simple funding scheme, because I don't think any of the funding schemes are particularly simple per se. Everything has its level of complexity, and you should have, you should be guided through these. But I think ESC is a great way of dipping your toes, if you will, into how European funding schemes work directly. So I think those are sort of the benefits that I would like to highlight for the organization. Now, because from 2021 to 2027, it's sort of a whole new ball game, if you will, for the program. It's a brand new program, and everybody's looking at, what are the differences, what's new. So a lot of us that do work within European Solidarity Corps, for the most part, the program sort of came out on top, same as it had in the previous one. Everything is very similar. There have been changes, mainly operational changes when it comes to insurance enrollment and usage of the mobility tools, and some of the responsibilities have also shifted from the sending organizations to the hosting organizations. But for the most part, it is good. Now, some really, really interesting changes that have taken place are, first of all, the accreditation. Now, this is a question that we get a lot. I don't know if any of you who are currently watching have any questions around the accreditation process for ESC. But if you do, you can actually leave them in the comments. And even though I might not be able to get to them on this video, I will definitely try to address them in the comment section, even if it is later down the line. Okay. But just let me see here. Okay. But yeah, around the accreditation process, just to sort of generalize it, I mean, there's always been, like I said, a sending organization and a hosting organization, which is sort of the two main roles, other than, of course, the volunteer, who sort of goes from the care of one into the care of the others. Now, what's really been interesting is that both of those organizations now need to be accredited by the European Solidarity Corps. And more than that, obtaining that accreditation has become a little bit more complex, although I think it's sort of a good filter, because what they're doing now is that your financial and operational capacities will come into play. So they actually will be evaluated once you submit the paperwork for accreditation. It's not necessarily a short process filling out those forms, but it is definitely something that is doable. And if you seek guidance, again, I think even applying for our network and being part of our network is definitely of benefit in this sense, because it is something that we would have certain tools that are about to come out that might actually help you a lot when it comes to this. But now focusing on that financial and operational capacities coming into play is really interesting, because that's definitely weeding out certain players that might not be up to par. We get a lot of cases of volunteers that are in their hosting organization and they have a lot of support in their hosting organization, but there's never any follow-up from their sending organizations, and that kind of ruptures the whole support system that the program is really about, because like I said before, it's very sort of centered on the volunteer experience. So that support system is crucial, and if one of those pillars, either the sending or the hosting, is not really doing what they need to be doing, that's going to be a problem, because it's like the volunteer sort of left in the air hanging. Now, on the side of the hosting organizations, you also have an accountability. You are proven to be a solvent organization with a certain, a certain path already, walked, and that you do have those operational capacities to be hosting this resource and, giving them actually things to do, because operationally, you have things to do. Whereas there actually have been cases where volunteers arrive and the activities have been vague, or they haven't been properly planned, or it's just that the organization itself might just not have that many operations to be, but they've somehow managed to apply for a European Solidarity Corps and then, gotten the funding, and then they're like, oh, we'll make it up as we go along, which is not the actual, objective of this program. So that on the accreditation side, which to me has been very interesting. I think it's actually a good filter that that the EU has put into place, and I think it goes straight to the core of the accountability of that organization. So another really big plus is that normally we can only tend to, through the European Solidarity Corps, we can only target youngsters from the ages of 18 until 30. 30 has been a cutoff. Now, here's a little bit of advice, for those of you that might not be aware. You can actually host a volunteer once they have turned 30. As long as they don't, as long as they leave the country, or go in, their activity starts before they turn 31, you actually can host them, even if they turn 31 midway through. Okay. And then by the time they return, yes, they'll already be 31, but they would have entered the program at that breaking point. Okay. So just keep that into mind. But normally we could only tend to that demographic. Now, however, something that the European Solidarity Corps has done is that it has actually absorbed the EuropeAid. Now, EuropeAid was a very different program, and it was targeted to young professionals who wanted to come into the cooperation sector. Now, why is this interesting? This is interesting for two very main reasons. For me, the first one is that I now have something to offer to those participants, or those would-be participants, from the ages of 30 until 35. So now I've got a little bit of an extension on what would be a volunteering, because these are as well volunteering placements. Now, what's the difference in the EuropeAid side of things? Well, the interesting thing is that there's a lot more funding for the volunteer. Why? Because there's a lot more filters that they need to go through. So they actually need to bring something to the table. Where European Solidarity Corps is very open to everyone. It doesn't matter if you have experiences or if you have studies already in certain topics. The truth is, you can access it being 30, or you can, 18, and having absolutely no idea, just coming out of school, or you could access it, after you've studied something and you have that interest. EuropeAid is very targeted to, as I said, young professionals, but they need to be, they have to have credentials in that sense. So because they're coming in as people with credentials, the program obviously stipulates that what they get as funding is is much higher than they would within ESC. Now, the natural question is, oh, okay, but if you've done an ESC, does that automatically cancel your ability to join through EuropeAid and access those, because they're now technically the same program? Unfortunately, the question is, we don't know yet. This is the most recent development, but we're very excited, and we're definitely thinking that yes, because it would be sort of a natural next step for the volunteer. Now, we'll definitely be able to verify this in a couple of months. At present time, the fusion of these two programs is still sort of happening. So there's a lot of things that are up in the air. But we know that it is happening. And like I said, the two things that we know for sure, the two things that excite us the most. Number one, we are able to offer something to participants who are older and who want to work in that cooperation sector, bringing their specific area of expertise into play. So for example, let's say that somebody is an engineer. Well, that's definitely going to be something that, you know, if they're looking for a placement, and let's say there's a placement for somebody to help with an irrigation system in, I don't know, let's say somewhere in the north of Africa or Uruguay or something, some other country. Because yes, and I'm sorry that I'm going to make a parenthesis here, because as I said, this is a conversation, so there's no script behind this. So the program is actually open outside of European borders. In fact, it's probably going to be mostly placements outside of European borders. However, the organization who writes the program always needs to be within the European border. So it always needs to be a European organization collaborating with another organization. It could be in any part of the world. And they would be able to access EuropeAid funding and then to obtain a volunteer. So as I was saying, the two interesting parts are the, let's say there's a placement in the north of Africa somewhere, and they're needing somebody that can help them optimize or sanitize, let's say, irrigation systems or plumbing for remote villages. Then that volunteer would definitely need to be somebody who's coming in not just as a volunteer with no experience to kind of help out. They're actually coming in as an engineer, so they need to be certified. They are bringing, as I said, that area of expertise that is unique to them. And well, like I said, the two most exciting parts are they get better funding, and the fact that you know, they're definitely going to be able to access the program being older than 30. Now, if you already work within European Solidarity Corps, you know why this would be exciting to us, because it really is a massive amount of people that reach out to us as organizations saying, hey, I want to go on a volunteering, but I'm 32. And normally we, you know, all we have to say is, sorry, but you can't. And now we're going to be able to say, you know, well, you can't access directly European Solidarity Corps, but there is this opportunity. And that's very exciting, because I think that's going to bring a lot of people closer to this program, and it's definitely going to help us to position it so more young people become aware of it. Yeah, so that's definitely something that we are looking forward to. Like I said before, the biggest sort of question mark right now is, will participants be able to access this new ESC incorporating EuropeAid? While I want to feel confident saying yes, it's still kind of an unknown. So I'm really looking forward to when that clarification comes along. And just another clarification for everyone, because you might be saying, okay, so how do we access these? When are we going to come out? We're probably going to be looking at December, January start date for these offers to start coming out on the actual portal, and that we will be away with it. We will be able to deal with it. Another unknown is whether we're going to need an extra certification to be able to either write projects or to act as sending organizations. That as well remains to be seen. So it's kind of like things we know, but there's more things that we don't know at this point, whether we're going to need further accreditation. Now, to give you an example, our organization actually did try to apply for EuropeAid as a different program. It was a very cumbersome project, and while we already have been certified since forever in first in EVS and then in ESC, that was not necessarily a credential that would validate us for EuropeAid. So that was kind of an uphill battle for us as well. Like I said, the process is very cumbersome. There's a lot of things that they like to verify, that they want to verify, and frankly, that they need to verify. So that's going to be a big unknown as to what organizations like ours or yours might need to do, but it's definitely something that we are going to be on top of. And as soon as we know, everybody that is then part of our network will be able to know it, because we'll definitely make sure that we put that out there, or that we have another live talk with you and be able to discuss the topic and inform you better. So I want to go ahead and have a little bit of a pause here. Hi, Sarah from UK. Thank you for joining us. And see if anybody has any questions. Now, I'm looking through the different platforms to see if anybody's left us question in the comment section. But please feel free to go ahead and write us, because I would love, love, love for these live sessions, which, by the way, we are going to have one probably per partner of the consortium that will, it will be specialized in one of the programs that they specialize in. So this is sort of our kickoff event, and we wanted to start it off, with something that might be familiar or that might ring a bell, which is European Solidarity Corps. And I hope that I have brought you some important or good information today. But just so you know, there are going to be more events. These events are going to be exclusive to, the social networks that we're managing currently. But it is going to be sort of, hopefully, a gateway for you to get to know even more about our network, what we're looking to build, and hopefully interest you in, taking action and joining that network and being part of that change throughout, through this initiative. Now, I do want to take the opportunity to remind everyone, or let everybody know, if you weren't here before, that EU Learning, which is the original project that kicked off this network and the consortium, is co-founded by Erasmus. So it actually is an Erasmus K2 program, which we are very proud of. And I would like to personally thank Oifrak and Tamara Hinds, who is, I believe, here with us, for having formed this consortium of great professionals. I personally have a lot of admiration for all of them, and think that this initiative, that what we're trying to get done, is going to be of value to everyone. Thank you. Oh, Sarita, you live in Peru. Okay, so that's an interesting question. So Sarah lives in Peru, and she's asking me whether she can access the European Solidarity Corps placement. Now, I'm guessing that, Sarita, you're asking about the EuropeAid or the ESC. Either way, we need to see if this is going to impact the rules. Now, if we talk about ESC, and this is something that I want to make really, really clear, your nationality is irrelevant. Anybody can really, with any nationality, can access this, but you must be a legal resident within an EU country. Why do I make this this differentiation? I did not mention this at the beginning, but for example, I am from Latin America. And I know that something that comes into play is the fact that, you know, oh, it's because of my nationality, or my nationality limits me. No, because you could just be a resident. You do not need to be a citizen, but the program does require you to be within the bounds of the European Union in order to access this, Sarah. Hi, Aurelia. Ciao. Sarah, I hope this answers your question. You have, if you want to reach out to us or you have any other questions, you can do so through our group message, and just let us know that it was, you know, that it's a question for Jose Imbert, and I'm sure that I'll get access to it and I'll be able to respond to you, whatever that doubt may be. But yes, you would, you know, you would need to be within Europe. Any country would be okay. I hope I've answered your question, though. Let me know in the comments. My pleasure, Sarah. My pleasure. So does anybody else have any? Oh, I have a message from Oifrak. Okay, so she said, that, you know, thank you, Jose. All of you are doing such a great work. Well, let me tell you, we're doing a great work because we've got a great project manager. So again, thank you very much to you for the amazing work that you've done and for putting this amazing project together. Now, to everybody else who is, I'm seeing 18 people logged in, which is great. I really, really want to, you know, get you excited about the idea of our network. I know that right now I'm probably lacking words that will help, you know, give you the scope of everything that we want to do with this network. But you know what? I think we probably would fare better just attending to your questions. So please, you know, you're in our, if you, or you're not in our group, if Tamara, if we could get the link to the Facebook group on the chat. So if those of you that are not directly coming through any of those networks want to go ahead and write us a question, there is also a dedicated email that you can write us to, but be proactive, you know, ask us about the network, ask us about our objectives. We're more than happy to have this conversation with you. And, you know, you can definitely apply. Obviously, there is a process for applying, but I think it's safe to say that, you know, we're very open and very excited to be able to collaborate with as many organizations as we can that we can definitely see ourselves, you know, collaborating with. Like I said, we cover a whole myriad of European funding schemes. Today, we're only starting with European Solidarity Corps, but there is everything else that deserves to be mentioned, from Creative Europe all the way to Age 2020, or Horizon Europe, as I believe we're now calling it. Hello, Felix from Germany. Pleasure. Why am I so angry? I'm not angry, I think. I hope. This is not anger. This is the need for Botox. So yeah, so please be excited. Ask us questions. We're always happy to. And please let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. Not everybody at the same time, please. Okay, Lola, you're finishing your bachelor's in international relationships and would like to apply for a scholarship for the European External Action Service. However, you don't have experience beforehand. Would that be a problem? That is a great question, Lola. That is a great question. And that is one of the things that we want to definitely see if it has changed. Normally through EuropeAid, while you wouldn't necessarily have to have, I mean, your accreditation, the fact that you're a student of or a graduate of, already kind of puts you in the running, because we understand that that volunteering is going to be, you know, unexperienced. But you would need some experience. I don't know if that's going to hold out now that those two programs are merging. But again, this is going to be you know, some of the questions that we ourselves have, because we're going to be receiving candidates and we're going to be processing, hopefully, you know, your applications. So whether that's going to hold or not, we don't know at this point. But I do know that it was very much valued to have some experience prior to it. The depth or the level or the duration of that experience is unknown to me, so I cannot answer that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Lola, I hope I answered your question. And again, I invite you to as well, kind of, join the group, or, you can direct your questions through the chat or through our dedicated email, okay? Alice, thank you very much, Alice. Thank you. You have a question. All kind of organizations can be accredited for the EU Solidarity Corps. I mean, also private companies. Great question, Alice. Great question. Beautiful question. No, not companies, for example, cannot access this. You would always need an association, a non-for-profit, or somebody who is directly coordinating. And remember that there also needs to be an element of solidarity. It's called European Solidarity Corps. So yeah, there needs to be that element of, like I said, solidarity, or the aim of the organization needs to be for the benefit of the greater good of the community, region, and or country at large. Thank you. But however, we do know that people collaborate. Big companies have their own either associations, they have their own NGOs through which they channel certain initiatives, which are definitely to the benefit of the greater good and the general population. And that would sort of be a way for that to work. But yeah, they cannot be a private or a publicly traded company, for example, accessing this program directly. Felix, you want to work for, and I'm terribly sorry, I do not know this. Maybe I'm guessing this is in Germany, Felix. If you could clarify that for me. Lola, my pleasure. Thank you very much for being here. You could also, if you have a question related as well to, well, you know what, we'll definitely give you the links to as well the YesEuropa pages, and because that's dealing a lot with the European Solidarity Corps. And once we have, December, January, once we know what's going to happen with the EuropeAid side of things, and we're definitely going to be looking out. I also want to invite people from Latin America to visit the webpage, YesEuropa.org, because we are going to be talking in the near future about Erasmus Mundus, which is the part of the program which has a very international reach, specifically big mention in Latin American countries, very big participation with Colombia. So we're gonna be having sort of a live event similar to this one that you can definitely sign up for, and you can go on our page and find it, and we'll be more than happy to let you know so you can join that conversation as well, and we could talk about opportunities that might actually help you come to Europe. I'm still waiting for clarification from you, Felix, because I do not know exactly. You want to work for the, I don't know if somebody could, perhaps my German friend Tamara could help me out, because it seems like it could be something in Germany, given the spelling. Perfect, Sarah. I hope that you do. The Federal Intelligence Service. That is something that we could not help you with. You might need to contact them, Felix, directly, and then they can let you know what the process is for applying for them. Tamara. Okay. Well, if there aren't any more questions from anyone, I'm going to give you kind of a second there to go for it if you have any more, because if not, then we're definitely going to go ahead and close up this live talk. Not first without thanking everybody that has taken the time to be here in events like this. Again, this is available to you as well from other partners, and referring to other funding programs, which if ESC was not something that was aligned to you directly, then the other programs definitely might be. So be tuned, but please remember that it is an exclusive offer from our network. So, join the pages, hit that like button, make sure that, you're engaging with us, and why not, we invite you to try to become formal part of that network, and you can definitely ask us about that through direct messages or to the dedicated email that we have. So, okay. Oh, I have a question. How can we look up for internships in embassies within Europe? This is a good question. With embassies, it's a different ballgame. They have their very specific set of ways and programs through which they offer internships. So normally those do fall out of the the grasp of programs. So we're not normally able to find placements in there, but you could definitely, like I said, try to find, which organizations or which companies they're working with in order to entertain candidacies for internships. Caroline, I hope that helps. Maurizio, is it possible to find something written about this? You know what? Even though it sounds like I'm brushing you off, I promise you I'm not. But the program guide is actually very, very useful. It's precise, it's concise, it's about 290 something pages. It's not very long. And you can actually, skim through it until you find those sections that are very specific to what your questions might be. I think perhaps, after the event, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you a link to a download in both English and Spanish. That's what we have available. So you can access that after the event, and I'll make sure that we post that within 10 minutes of ending this event, okay? Maurizio? And thank you for your question. Okay, so it's 12:46, and I promised myself that I would try to not extend this more than so. Please, if you have a question, this is the time to ask it, because if not, I think that we need to go ahead and end this live. My pleasure, Maurizio. Thank you for being here today. Let's go ahead and end this. And again, if you have any questions left over, please do not hesitate in DMing us. And again, we invite you to be very proactive in joining our network. And we are here for you. All of our organizations are here for you. Thank you very much for being here, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Lola. Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Sarah. Perfect. So with that, we're going to go ahead and sign off, and we'll see you in our next one. And stay tuned, because we will be announcing that one shortly, okay? Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you. Goodbye.